John Eustace must complete 5 things if he wants Derby County to stay within the Championship. And first off, we're going to talk about the major and most important one, in my opinion, and that is a captain. Derby County have been under the leadership of Nathaniel Mendez-Laing for the vast majority of this season, but ultimately the captain's armband has not been respected. And in my opinion, it needs to be given to a set player who is going to lead this dressing room. It's something we've been missing pretty much since that 22-23 season where Tom Lawrence had it, and then it was given to Conor Hourihane under the stewardship of Liam Rosenior. And I just don't think that we ever really made a proper decision on a captain this season. And it's one of those things for me where I think that is very, very disrespectful to that captain's armband. Something which I think is massively, massively important and opens up the door for those younger players to really sort of have someone to look up to. Now, obviously this season it's gone from Mendez-Laing, it's gone Erin Cashin, Curtis Nelson, Forsyth, Ebou Adams has had it recently. I think Ben Osborne's had it. Like, there's so many different players that have held this captain's armband, and it just means that the captain's armband has so much less significance. Now, for me, the team is crying out for a leader, and who do I believe that leader could be? Now, there's a few options in my mind, but it has to be someone that is going to play every single game. Now, for me, the two options in my head starting off with is Matt Clark and Ebou Adams. Now, ultimately, I think Ebou Adams, he really shows what the team needs to be doing in the way that he works hard, gets in his tackles and things like that. Now, ultimately, I do have my personal opinion on his technical ability, but I think as a captain, his leadership, his determination, his work rate would be absolutely unreal for the Derby County team, and that's something which I think John Eustace will be looking into. Obviously, then we go on to Matt Clark, who in my opinion is probably one of the better players within our squad right now, and probably the best left-sided centre-half that we could have replaced Erin Cashin with. Now, the big question on that circumstance is going to be, is that something that Derby County could use in a way to keep him should we go down, give him the captaincy? And these are things which Derby County have to think about, because a captain is more likely to stay than someone who's not a captain because they feel a responsibility. Now, for me, I think Matt Clark would be an excellent captain for Derby County. I can't remember if he ever wore the armband during those first 2 seasons when he was with us on loan, but it would be interesting to know. If any of you do know, let me know down in the comments, but I certainly believe Matt Clark can definitely hold a torch of the captain's armband. Now, part number 2 has to be the style of play and the formation. Now, me personally, I'm sure a lot of fans will completely turn around and go, it doesn't matter how we play for this next half of the season, so long as we pick up results and stay in the division. Now, obviously, we want to see some sort of patterns of play. We want to see an identity, which I believe we will see straight away once John Eustace comes through the door, whenever that is. Obviously, at the point of recording, it has not been announced. It's currently 3:15 on the 12th of February. But I believe it's so important that the style of play we have, it doesn't necessarily have to be free-flowing attacking football. It can be structured, it can be compact, but we've got to make use of those players that we have. The players like Kenzo Heldmine, David Ozo, make sure we get them on the ball to make things happen and sort of keep the ball away from a player like Ebou Adams, who not necessarily has that technical edge that Derby County really need to create chances. And for me, I certainly believe we're going to be moving to a back four. Whether it be a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, I'm not entirely sure. I think it'll all depend on where he sort of sees Kenzo's role within the team. Now, obviously, if you go back to Kenzo's former club, he was more of a deeper lying playmaker than sort of a number 10, and I think he'd be perfect in that sort of advanced 8 role ahead of one sitter with someone next to him. I think that would be perfect in that sort of 4-3-3 system, and that's something which obviously John Eustace, when he does come through the door, and whoever his coaches are going to have to look at. But I certainly believe that that sort of style and structure and the start of patterns of play is really important for Derby County fans. But the most important thing is getting those results and staying within the division. Now, talking about styles and formations and patterns of play, an important thing for Derby County is having players in the right positions. Now, we've seen over the course of the last few games Liam Thompson playing at wing back, Caden Jackson at wing back. We've seen Mendez-Laing as a part of 2 10s in a 3-4-3. We've seen Kenzo Heldmine of the left of that 3 as a second 10. And for me, I just think what we've got to do is get our best players in their best positions, and that has to be Mendez-Laing wide right. Obviously, whoever plays on the left, it doesn't really matter. Probably will end up being Marcus Harness. then you've got to have Kenzo in those sort of boxes in the middle where he can make things happen, he can play players through. And we've got to make the most of Caden Jackson's pace. What is the point of having Caden Jackson sitting at right back, essentially, like he was in the game last night? It's something which really needs to be discussed and really needs to be looked at by John Eustace when he enters the building. You've obviously then got the talking points around the centre-back positions. Obviously, we only have 3 centre-backs available for Derby County. And for me, I think it's stupid to keep playing all 3 at the back, especially the way we did last night, where Langas was playing on the left of a 3 as a right footer. For me, you'd have put Clark out there, put Phillips or Langas in the middle, and then the other one on that right-hand side. I just thought it was a really, really odd decision, and I don't think it really gave us much opportunity in build-up because they were all on the wrong foot, apart from Nat Phillips, which was really difficult sometimes to watch. And it did see us just keep going side to side across the back occasionally because they weren't confident with that other foot. And that's something which Derby County certainly will need to work on over the course of the next few days heading into that game versus QPR. And then next up, it's the rebuilding of confidence that John Eustace is going to have to do over the course of the rest of this season, because you look at the team last night, you look at the players, and most of them are devoid of confidence and devoid of ideas, and they just don't really know what they're doing. Now, the important thing for me is making sure that we see a quick change in that, and make sure that the players have proper training sessions, proper team building exercises, and get them back where they should be. Because in my personal opinion, a confident team, a confident squad of ours, I think is good enough to stay in this division. That's my personal opinion. I do think we have enough to stay in this division, but it all is going to rely on finding that confidence again, especially in those wide players like Caden Jackson, like Tom Barkhazen, Mendes Lang, Marcus Harness. Obviously, we've scored a handful of goals since the 26th of December, and it's been very, very disappointing to watch Derby County. And obviously last night, I think we have to sort of make the acceptance that that was very much still a Paul Warne style. That's the style Matt Hamshaw has been playing over the course of the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, however long they've been together. And that's something which Derby County will need to move away from quickly, and I think that will all come with confidence. And I think you look at Caden Jackson last night, pretty much all of his passes were backwards. And what we need to do is get sort of a Liam Rosenior-esque look to those to the front 3, because you look at the way he got Mendes Lang and Barkhazen playing at the start of that first season. Obviously, ultimately didn't go on to anything because he got replaced by Paul Warne, but he got them playing some really good stuff, getting them in behind, getting them on the ball, making things happen, and we were dangerous. Now, obviously, it's a much higher division now, and we've got much more competition, but we certainly need to find that element of Nathaniel Mendes-Lang again and Caden Jackson. Now, I personally believe Caden Jackson would be better as a second striker off Jorgen Salverson, where he can bomb on from the flick-ons and things like that. But will we see that happen? I'm not entirely sure. And then the final thing for me, which I think John Eustace has to take a look at and potentially utilise across the course of the next few months, is the youth academy. The under-21s, the under-18s, there's a lot of really, really good players in there. Now, obviously, I'm not going to turn around and say that I know for a fact they're all ready to play or they could play at the weekend or anything like that, but I certainly believe there is some options within that youth academy that could make the step up to first-team football and certainly have an impact with us, but it's just about giving them that opportunity to work in. Now, I understand that probably won't happen over the course of the next, 12 weeks up until the end of the season, but it's something which certainly needs to be looked at and addressed going into the summer, whether we're in League One or in the Championship, because I think some of those young players could potentially be looking for moves if they don't feel like there's a proper pathway to the first team. And I think at the moment, under the former stewardship of Paul Warne, there certainly wasn't that opportunity. And you look at players like Cruz Allen, Niall McAndrew, Lennon Wielden, you can even maybe mention the likes of Owen Eames as well, who could potentially make that step up. Obviously, there's going to be physical challenges for them with that, but it's just about giving them the option and giving them that chance to prove themselves. Now, if you have not done so already, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, hit the like button as well. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll catch you in my next video.